Hey y'all, it is March the 23rd, 2020, I believe. And I'm not sure what exactly might have come out on YouTube, right? First of all, YouTube is, um, they're nothing to me, right? Not the people who listen to me on YouTube, but those people who come out on YouTube and stuff. My people here on YouTube, not to talk about y'all, but YouTube in general, I don't even have no patience for it. Meanwhile, I wanted to jump on to do a short live stream just to holler at y'all, to touch base, and I couldn't. And I tried 2 times. And I'm sure the excuse is going to be, oh man, everybody's live streaming, everybody's all pent up, and they're all quarantined and stuff. Everybody's using the networks to go to Netflix and watch some movies all day, and that's all that they do, and they're streaming all over the place. And that means that you can't get no connection. Don't even think about streaming, you small fry potato. All right, that's what, honestly, that's the message that I'm getting. All right, why would everybody be streaming and I don't have no sort of network connection? I couldn't make anything happen, right? And that's like, I'm not even trying to be on YouTube. I just wanted to holler at some people who can't even let that happen. It's terrible, all right? Meanwhile, I was sitting here, I was thinking, I got stuff that I could do, all right, and take care of. And I was, putting off that stuff in order to get, on a live stream, just holler at y'all for a minute, and that's not gonna happen. So I was like, well, what's the next best thing? I don't know, man. So I figured I'll shoot this here video, right? I was kind of late getting on, anyways. So I was gonna live stream. I was gonna get very late, right? And that's because time got away from me, all right? And we'll talk about that sort of thing later in the future, but I think that's a wonderful thing sometimes when time gets away from us. That is, if we utilize it, all right? We can learn to harness the energy and productivity of stuff that can happen. This long story short, I had a pretty deep conversation with a man, an international legend. You probably heard him on InfoWars, different various shows. I'm talking about the man Bart Fine. Holler at the man Bart Fine, all right? And then also, definitely, as Bart like Simpson, fine, just how you think it is on YouTube. Go ahead and get him some money, all right? Or at least just subscribe to him and, check him out, what he's uploading. It's InfoWars all the time if you want to stay up with them. And different other various things that Bart Fine provides, all right? And subscribe to his channel, and then he's going to get deleted. He gets deleted all the time, then he comes back and creates a new channel, and it's very easy to find him, and it's a game that's very easily won as far as YouTube can go ahead and do whatever it is that they will, right? And Lord knows we're seeing the results of what they will do, right? I don't believe any of it. I think it's a hoax, and I believe that they were messing up my feed, and they'll just it's not even like they know me personally, but they'll mess around any small potato type dude's feeds out there, and it really doesn't matter. Say the heck with him and his small time operations got going, all right? Meanwhile, I just want to relay to y'all real quick, all right? I'm not going to take too much time. I want to holler at y'all, and feel free to holler at me in the comments. I appreciate all y'all, and I definitely will get to talking about what it is that you're talking about, all right? You could steer the conversation, and I like that. Shout out to Brenda, for example, and Rep by Brenda, and the 5G stuff. Trust me, I just keep hearing about this 5G in relation to Corona COVID 2019-84, or whatever you want to call it. I keep hearing it. I keep hearing it and hearing it and hearing it some more. So shout out to Brenda for putting that in our minds. Paul's okay. Shout out to him and calling out Cenk Uygur. It's like, man, I can't believe that anybody would listen to me very long and listen to Cenk Uygur as well. So it's not like I'm telling y'all anything new, except if you didn't know Cenk Uygur, he is typical of a kind of like a domineering, kind of like chauvinistic, backhanded, like woman objectifying type, Middle Arabian, I don't know, just certain genocide denying type of dude. And it's like, whatever, people can have their opinions, right? But shout out to Paul's Okayish over there in the UK. I understand they're getting broke the hell off, and so are we over here and different variations, right? I can only imagine. Shout out to them. Shout out to everybody else. Shout out to South Africa and our man Buffalo Bower. You know, he made that trip to DC, and at the same time, it was on behalf of the plight of South African farmers who get murdered all the time. And the situation might only just get worse because stuff's getting worse all around the world. Is there any infections over there in South Africa? Will that make this even worse? All right. Shout out to everybody around the world and stuff. And your input, at least right now, is actually very much appreciated. Right. And so I had this big long conversation with Bart Fine. I'm gonna look to get Bart Fine on this show, on this channel for sure, or if not this channel, some other channel on a different platform. BitChute, D Live, you know what I'm saying? Find me on D Live / Gerardo's, DLive.tv / Gerardo, if I'm not mistaken. All right, and you can find me there on BitChute, and that's that. We're gonna have stuff working. We're gonna have stuff in the works. All right, we already kind of got the gears a turning on that sort of stuff. All right, but I wanted to holler at y'all about a few things. Get y'all caught up in the fact that I had this conversation with Bart Fine. You can expect to hear a lot more from him. He was the guy who was saying bio weapon attack, and he was saying that back in January. And so basically, I had a conversation with him about that and a lot of other stuff. But in that regard, I think what he might have been getting at, or at least what I took away from that, is that this is a time in which you'll note that notably it's all about your instinct. It's about your intuition. It's about following what they call your gut or your second brain, or a lot of people call it different things. Your gut instinct. Following that, because that is keyed into something. It'll notice things when you don't notice things. Your subconscious just always absorbs stuff, and you'd be surprised all the mystical stuff that it absorbs. And then unleashes, in different ways to include your dreams if you have wild and crazy dreams. Right, your brain works all crazy ways in that regard. And I would say that, yeah, you should probably follow your instinct, especially in these days. And how I've described it, on the past broadcast, it's like okay, living by your intuition and living by your gut, it's a good idea, all right? And in these days, it's going to be especially crucial because, number one, what you can expect is devastation. And I mean it, like outside your front door, me too. Like stuff that I'm not going to want to see. I can tell you right now, I'm fixing to see some things that I don't want to see. And I'll tell you right now, if I could not see them, I would. All right. None of me is looking forward to what it is I'm describing or what it is Bart Fine's describing. Right. A whole bunch of devastation that is for sure going to happen. All right. If you don't see it, you're definitely going to hear about it, and it's going to hit you at home personally. All right. And different people with different various extents, to be sure. All right. And pre-condolences for everybody out there who's obviously going to experience this sort of stuff. And it's going to be devastating, all right? I don't want you to, get the wrong idea, but at the very same time, and it just kind of makes sense that during all this devastation, it's going to be a time of opportunity for sure. All right, no matter what comes down the pike, and we're going to discuss it at no end. I don't know if on this broadcast, but as far as the possibilities for America, for example, and there's a lot of different other countries, and in fact, most other countries are experiencing some sort of calamity in relations to this virus. All right. So we're going to be at war gaming basically and thinking about what is to come, what to expect next, because we've pretty much been on point this whole entire time. All right. And it's our intuitions that have done it. It's not our intellect. I think that's what we gotta remember. It's not our intellect we're not so smart that we just like invented all these cool ways of thinking and stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It is built into our gut and our instinct and stuff to know how to navigate these murky waters, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about before we got out of here, but we're kind of short on time, so. There's a whole bunch of different things that we're gonna talk about, I guess, next time. All right. For example, I'm looking at a list right now and different various things that we're gonna go over next time. We already talked about the 5G, but we're gonna talk about it some more. Right? What's the possibilities of what the heck's going on with this 5G? Could it be related? Will somebody get to the bottom of it? Maybe, perhaps, for the first time in history, people will get to the bottom of things. We're going to find out, all right? It's only a matter of time before we find out which way the wind blows, all right? So, Cenk Uygur, obviously, that's small potatoes. We don't want to talk about that too much, but it's really, he's an insight into the person who would want to be your communist overlord, all right? Understand that. And okay, other things that I wanted to talk about is urban gardeners. All right. Number one, I got some stuff going. Trust me, I got some stuff going. I'll share you with y'all some insights on that in the near future. But urban gardeners, here's what I want to stress. Right, the situation that we gotten ourselves into is terrible. Right, absolutely terrible. And we almost deserve devastation when you think about it. The bubbles that we've been living on and stuff like that, the kind of dependence that we've put on not only corporations but the government as well. So the onus, it's got there right on my list. It says the onus is on urban gardeners, right? And you might look at farmers and stuff like that and think, oh man, they need to change their ways. Big agro and stuff like that, they're not doing it right the way that they do it. They do it on a mass scale and they need to tone it down. That might be a good idea, but at the same time, the onus is not on them. All right, they've been doing what they can to barely keep us afloat this whole time. All right, and God bless them. Even though I don't like macro growing things necessarily, not like that on that extent. They had to do what they had to do and to pay bills and stuff. Now we have to think about a different solution. Like I said, the onus, I believe, from what I've seen, and I know all sort of people who's farmers and this and that, the onus is on urban growers. We had to supplement these big farmers and stuff, and we had to do it right now because we messed up and we're living in the cities where it's not good, all right? And we don't have gardens and stuff like that. But in this revolution, and people have known this for a while, people said this for a while. I've heard this a while back, okay? Is as far as the revolution, is the onus is on urban gardeners. All right. So if you're in an apartment or you're in somewhere real urban and you think, oh man, I wish I can get some property out somewhere so I can make a garden one day. And then if I made a garden one day in this property somewhere out of town, I'd be happy and it would be great. And we do all this sort of things. Well, forget about that right now. In fact, you're late. I got to stress to you right now. Depending on where you're at, you're kind of late, but you might as well jump in right now. No, I'm talking about urban gardening right now. You can't wait because the onus is on urban gardeners. All right, and that may say, not to brag or anything, but I got an herb garden and I got some sprouts and stuff, and I'll show you those later. All right, but the onus and the revolution is going to come from the urban gardeners because they're going to supplement. They're going to start creating urban farmers markets. They're going to expand our power, and it's going to expand our health actually and our immunity because that's the thing. We're dealing with a problem, and that has everything to do with our immune systems and whether or not we can fight off viruses, and which viruses can we fight off? Can we fight off all of them with our immune systems? Surely we can. And in fact, it says it on my list, right? I want to get out of here, all right, because I don't have too much time. But it says it on my list where we're talking about herd immunity as far as, you've heard it a long time ago when it comes to vaccines. Now, certainly everybody keeps talking about these silly vaccines. Trust me, like, as far as everybody keeps talking about these magic vaccines to save us from COVID 1984, there's some people out there who's just not going to take it. They're not going to take the vaccine. So what do you do for those people? Can you let them roam around? Obviously, they're going to try and stifle that. But meanwhile, the vaccine really isn't a problem. And there's a lot of other things that we could talk about as far as zinc. And people have been hearing about this hydroxychloroquine and stuff like that. Trust me, I've heard all that sort of stuff too. But at the same time, there's different other various vitamins that I personally don't know anything about, and I want to know more and more, and I learn more and more over time. But what I want to stress is that people are going to develop herd immunity not through vaccines, how you've heard this whole time, but through supplements, obviously, and getting back to, like I said, urban gardens, and then subsequently the other gardens having big farmers markets and smaller farmers markets, having a whole network of farmers markets in which we can all get the freshest food that we have. And there's no such thing as a food desert that's been implemented by white power and stuff. We got to get up out of here. But I'm just saying that some people have not been concentrating on their diet, and guess what? That's got them in a very bad way, especially in a climate right now that we have in the world in which everybody really needs to sincerely think about their immune system, right? And so there's a whole bunch of things that we're going to talk about and think about to include exercising daily. And it's like, dude, we ran out of time. I don't have any more time for this video. All right, but exercising daily is going to prove to be crucial, and I've been trying to do that and keep up on that, especially if you're in a quarantine, or especially if you're in lockdown mode, or especially if you're looking for a job right now, or whatever. No matter what you're doing, actually, no matter what you're doing, and especially if you're locked up and you're in lockdown mode, uh, exercising is going to prove to be crucial. It's going to prove to be crucial for more than, I mean, just for an array of things, to include your own mental health. All right, during these trying times in which a lot of people are going to want you to panic, I would stress don't panic. And I would say instead, live a lifestyle and incorporate things that cause you to have peace, or actually peace comes from within. So don't even think about things around you. All right, think about within and the peace that you deserve, and how do you get to that. All right. I would suggest that you forgive everybody, to include your parents, and especially your parents. And once you can finally do that, and really and truthfully do that, you're gonna put yourself on a path in which you can start thinking about externally making investments, having urban gardens, having food storage, all these sort of things that we're thinking about, taking care of your fitness, because you know it's not even for yourself. You actually owe it to your brother and your fellow patriot and your sister out there. You owe it to them to be on tip top of your health. That's not to say that to totally kill yourself and total 90 stuff and do all that mega ninja warrior stuff. I'm just talking about having a better quality of life and increasing your own immunity, and doing that on a wide scale, thereby causing herd immunity, in which the people have their own little diseases off in their own countries, and we'll shut down the border and we'll just have a whole healthy country and not even think about it. All right, unfortunately, that's the way we got to do it. America first. Just like in Australia, it's Australia first. Just like in the UK, it's UK first. Just like over there in Canada, I would expect them to do Canada first. All right, and everybody to be concentrating on these sort of things. All right, and it's all sort of things that we're going to talk about later on. I say we withdraw all sort of whatever financial ties and this and that, military ties with China, and start looking at them sideways. All right, not racist against the Chinese people, but absolutely looking at the through our side eyes the Chinese communist government. All right, because they want us to be, slaves and stuff. Anyways, it's March the 23rd, and I appreciate y'all. And I'll holler at y'all on Wednesday. I guess sometime we're gonna have we're gonna have some sort of broadcast on Wednesday. That much I want to promise you, but I can't promise you. But I'm gonna try real hard. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.